meeting of the Workforce Attraction and Retention Task Force. That'll be meeting during the interim. I want to welcome everybody to this working group, or excuse me, this task force that we've got developed that came out of this past session. We'll get into some more details about that, but I do want to turn it over to my co-chair for any comments that he wishes to make.
Thank you for everyone for being here, and I just want to say that I'm excited about this task force. I'm excited about the work that we're going to do, and we're still have a lot of plans to make, but I think it's important that we are focused on removing any barriers that we have in Kentucky to success, and so making doing business in Kentucky easier. So removing those barriers and looking for ways to expand our workforce.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and get started here soon. Sasha, if you would, go ahead and call the roll.
Senator Elkins.
Present.
Senator Funke Fromeyer. Senator Howell. Senator Webb. Representative Branscombe.
Here.
Representative Cook.
Here.
Representative Pollock.
Here.
Representative Tackett Lafferty.
Present.
Co-Chair Wise.
Present.
Co-Chair Duval.
Here.
Fantastic. Just as a bit of a background, I kind of talked about from this past session what we were able to accomplish in setting this up. It was Senate Joint Resolution 176, House Current Resolution 104, and House Concurrent Resolution 79 kind of all came together to form the task force. I know a lot of the work will be done by members of our LRC. If you've been a part of any task force or working group in the past, you know that the large portion of the workload is done by those of LRC, and we appreciate their work. So Janine Coy, Sasha Allen, and also Crystal Coach Thompson, thank you, will be our staffers with this. So any needs of the committee, please get with any of the LRC staffers that we do have. And as part of this, I kind of wanted today to be more of just an introductory, not bringing in any presenters or anything like that, since this is our first introduction of the work we'll be doing throughout the interim. But wanted to get a lot of feedback from all of you all that are part of this task force in terms of the direction that you would like to see this go. We know this is a crucial and pressing issue, not just for the Commonwealth of Kentucky, but for the entire United States as we look at workforce attraction and retention in all different sectors and all different areas that we all represent in our districts back home. One of the things that we'll be doing is developing recommendations that will go forth after we finish our work here, that will go forward to the General Assembly as we go into the 2025 session. Hopefully we can have a lot of resolve and a lot of determination of the ways that we can look to attract and also retain. One of the things I will say that we will have as part of this group, some of you all may have been, I know Representative Branscombe was, at the Marriott Griffin Gate when we had AEI do a presentation about workforce. There was a book that was given to everyone that was there. It was called Men Without Work, and it talked about right now the growing demographics of the current generation of males, the ages of about 25 to 40-year-olds that just simply are not working in today's time. It's a very short read. LRC has got those ordered for each one of us on this task force. Once again, it's a simple read. It's nothing too hard. Representative of Pollock and others will be able to easily get through this. There's no crayons that'll be provided. The pictures, there are pictures and graphs, so it'll be easy and helpful. But it is a fantastic read, and it's all about post-COVID recovery and workforce. And like I said, when I read it, I knew exactly that this was something that I would like to be part of, and Co-Chair Duval agrees as well. So as soon as LRC gets those to us, we have reached out to the author to see if the author would be here either in person or could be available to even get down into the weeds about the growing problem that we're facing, not just in Kentucky, once again, but across the United States. I think also when we look at some of the barriers, and Representative Duval mentioned about this, one of the things that we also need to think about are barriers such as, transportation, barriers that it relates to disabilities, licensing, the education training. We had a lot in the last session, I know from the House side, about child care issues. We've even formed some task force and working groups that have looked at that. Also, the public assistance benefits cliffs. We had some legislation that had came through last session that did not make their way through both chambers last year, but I think that those issues also need to be looked at as areas as we focus on as well. So at this time, I would love to hear from any members of this task force of some direction that also you all are interested in and would like to provide any ideas or guidance to both of us as we go forward. Senator Webb?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And, 5 years ago, almost to the date of my appointment to this, Governor Bevan had me on something similar and got to go into national meetings and be involved in that. And I thought the most interesting thing about this is going to be, for me, the comparison between pre-pandemic and post-pandemic. So I think we're on the right track there. And I'd just like to add, we've done some work on Representative Decker and I on criminal justice issues, that little fixes that we can get folks back into the workforce easier. So I think that's part of it. And then, of course, the impact on public safety and public health, or health overall, and those things the pandemic impacted. So I'm looking forward to it from a comparative standpoint and see what we can do. But thank you.
Thank you. Representative Cook?
Thank you, Chairman. Love to talk about workforce all the time. It's getting tougher and tougher in all fields to find employees. And it doesn't matter whether you're a hospital, your farm, your school, trying to find a teacher thing. It just keeps getting tougher and tougher. And a big focus of mine the last couple of years has been tech schools and getting kids to enter the workforce and ready to go. And that's been a huge focus on mine and having them work ready. And we talk about work ready communities and talking about that, and also working with the chamber and the Military Hiring Academy, being a veteran. And that is just such a target rich environment for companies across the state to go out and start recruiting at these bases and catching Marine soldiers, airmen as they're getting their DD-214 and coming out there. I mean, just such a wealth of knowledge, experience, and all the good skills you want. So appreciate the chamber and the Military Hiring Academy, but the youngsters and the veterans.
Absolutely. Completely agree. And I do think that all of us as members of the General Assembly are proud of the work we've done with our LAVEX and our area technology centers. We've seen so many schools across Kentucky really grasping onto this concept. However, you're right. I would love to see, what are we getting on our return on investment of those regional schools and looking at the work that we're doing in our public school systems. Anyone else? Any other? Yep, Senator Elkins.
I'd like to see us focus also or give a lot of thought to participation rate. We're very, very low in the state of Kentucky. Our workforce participation rate is. And I employ a large number of people, over 100 at times, and I've actually had one guy walk past my office and said, I can go home and get a check a lot easier than this, and he just walked off the job that day. So I think we may have to look at some reversal of pandemic policies, I guess you would say, that made it too easy not to work. Just my thoughts on it anyway. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Fantastic. Representative Lafferty.
Thank you. Obviously, I represent Eastern Kentucky, and in our area, I think there's a sector that some people don't realize. We have a skilled workforce there from our coal miners, and with the decline of the coal industry, what our trouble is how do we keep them there? So I think that's another thing that I would like to see us take a look at during this task force. I've told this story many a times. I sit in church about every Sunday with a fella who retired from Toyota, and I never realized he worked at Toyota because he sits in the pew with me every Sunday. And so 30 years at Toyota in Georgetown, but shows up at church in Maytown every Sunday. So that's the type of thing that I'd like to see. Our people, they love our area, and we just need more opportunity to keep those skilled workers there. Our retired coal miners are skilled in mechanics, safety, various things across the board, and we have that treasure. It's just how do we keep them and expand them at home?
Absolutely.
So, thank you.
Any other comments? Representative Pollock.
Yes, one of the groups of I feel like we could touch base on and want to get some feedback from the experts that we'll be hearing from throughout this whole process, and that is those who are dealing with addiction, recovery addiction. When you tap into that type of group, Obviously, that is a workforce that we could use hopefully, and then get their lives back on a regular basis instead of just in that constant circle that I feel like they're in. So that is something I'm curious to hear about and seeing and what that looks like, and just the different programs that are available out there for that group of people.
Fantastic. Anybody else? One of the things also I hear a lot of questions about, for those of us that represent a lot of the rural areas, is about site selection. You get a lot of times, many small communities are always saying, well, why can't we land the big job here? I do think that may be something to also look at, is what are some of the barriers for site selection? Is it topography because of, you mentioned the Appalachian area of mountains? Is it because of lack of infrastructure? Is it roads? Is it, what are some of the barriers with that? So I would also like to maybe have somewhat of a meeting focus on site selection and what we're seeing, coming from the cabinet and others. So I'm excited working with each and every one of you. I think we all represent various parts of the state, and I do ask if anybody has ideas. We know we're going to have a lot of special interests that will probably come to us wanting to put forth ideas for each and every one of those. Please direct those towards me and Co-Chair Duvall, and we'll work with our LRC staff as we go forward. So also, I just want to make note of the dates that we will be meeting throughout the course of this task force. Today, once again, was just an introductory day. Our next one is July 30th. We should have, I would think, maybe by next week, Janine, the books from the AI. So as soon as Crystal gets those, we'll get those dispersed to everybody. But we're kind of targeting July 30th as the date for the author of that book to present in front of us. And so we'll go from there. And then we have August 14th, we have September 12th, October 16th, and also November 14th. And so those dates do not conflict with any other interim joint committee meetings as well. So a lot of good things to talk about. We'll try to disperse those throughout the calendar as it lays ahead. So any other closing comments before we leave? Seeing none, thank you all so much. Looking forward to seeing everybody on